before the world was crowded with people, before the land of Japan rose from misty oceans, there were the gods, and among them, one shone brighter than all the rest. Her name was Amaterasu. She wasn't just a goddess, she was the goddess, the sun herself. Warm, radiant, powerful. When she moved across the sky, rice grew golden and oceans shimmered like mirrors. Her presence meant life. Her absence meant silence. But like all light, Amaterasu cast a shadow. And that shadow had a name too. Susanoo, her brother, the storm god. While Amaterasu moved with grace, Susanoo stormed in chaos. Where she brought growth, he brought thunder. The two were as different as sunrise and typhoon. But they were still family. Divine siblings born from the same ancient source. The gods gave Amaterasu the heavens, the bright sky, to rule. And Susanoo, he was handed the oceans, but he didn't want them. He wanted something else. Susanoo wasn't content with the seas. He didn't care for their endless waves or their silence beneath the storms. No, he wanted to prove something, to the gods, to the world, and especially to his sister. He rose from the ocean, drenched in thunder, and stomped up toward the gates of heaven. The other gods, watching from afar, whispered nervously. Because when Susanoo was angry, things broke. Crops wilted, rivers overflowed, mountains shook. But he didn't come with war in mind. Not yet. He claimed he wanted to say farewell. He was going to leave forever, he said, to join their ancestors in the realm of the dead. Amaterasu didn't trust him. Still, she was cautious but fair. She met her brother at the border of the heavens, the place where earth meets sky. She held her brilliance steady, waiting to hear what he had to say, and Susanoo smiled. That kind of smile that hides something behind it. He said he meant no harm, and to prove it, he proposed a divine challenge, a test of trust. Each would take an object from the other and bring forth life from it, creating gods from what they were given. It was a sacred act, a sign of peace. So Amaterasu took Susanoo's sword. She chewed it, broke it, breathed on it, and from her mouth came 3 radiant goddesses. Then Susanoo took Amaterasu's necklace of jewels, and from that he created 5 gods. Victory, maybe, but not for long, because Susanoo's pride was too large, his chaos too loud, and what came next would turn heaven into a nightmare. No sooner had the gods been born than Susanoo began to unravel. He claimed victory, said the gods he made were stronger, greater, more noble, that his creation proved his superiority. But Amaterasu, calm and sharp as ever, reminded him the materials had come from her. The credit was not his. That small spark of argument lit a wildfire in Susanoo's chest. He didn't walk away. He raged. And when Susanoo raged, heaven trembled. First, he ripped up the rice fields that fed the gods. Then, he defiled the sacred halls, hurling waste and curses into holy places. No one stopped him. No one could. Because who could face the god of storms in a fury? And then came the unforgivable act. In the heart of Amaterasu's palace, where her sacred weaving maidens worked with quiet devotion, Susanoo tore a hole in the roof, and into that calm, peaceful place, he hurled a flayed horse, a sacred beast, skinned and bleeding, thrown like garbage. The maidens screamed. One tripped and fell on her spindle, and died. That was the moment. That was when Amaterasu, heartbroken and disgusted, decided she had seen enough. The world had become cruel. Her light no longer belonged here. So, without a word, she vanished. Amaterasu didn't just leave. She hid. In the dark mouth of a cave, far from gods and mortals, she sealed herself away. And with her, the light of the world vanished. For the first time since creation, the sun did not rise. The skies turned cold. The fields withered. Shadows stretched long and wide across every corner of the land. Crops failed. Fires died out. People whispered to one another in fear. And even the gods were afraid. Because without Amaterasu, life could not go on. The world had been bathed in her light from the very beginning. Her warmth made the seasons flow, the flowers bloom, and time move forward. But now, time seemed to freeze. The world felt hollow, dead, and the gods, they gathered in desperation. In the vast plain of heaven, they held council, arguing and worrying, their voices rising like the wind. Something had to be done. They needed the sun back. But no one dared approach the cave where Amaterasu had sealed herself. Her sorrow was too deep, her absence too absolute. It wasn't just about asking her to come out. They had to give her a reason to want to return. So they came up with a plan. A strange, beautiful, chaotic plan. The kind only gods could pull off. The plan wasn't made of force, not threats, not sorrow. No. The gods decided to do something very different. They decided to make her curious. In front of the cave's entrance, they built a stage of sorts. Flat stones were laid out. Sacred branches were placed. And at the center stood a massive mirror, polished to shining perfection, one that would reflect anything standing before it. Then, one of the gods, Uzume, stepped forward. She didn't bring weapons. She brought joy. Clad in nothing but leaves and laughter, Uzume jumped onto the platform and began to dance, wildly, foolishly, and with such strange passion that the other gods couldn't help but laugh. It wasn't graceful, it wasn't proper, but it was loud. It was alive. She stomped her feet. She shook her hair. She shouted jokes and flung her clothes off piece by piece. The gods roared with laughter. And inside the cave, Amaterasu heard it. She heard joy. She heard celebration. How could that be? The world had been plunged into darkness. Her light was gone. Why? Why were they laughing without her? She inched toward the entrance of the cave. Just a little. And then, a little more. What was happening out there? She peeked out, and the moment she did, the mirror caught her face. For the first time, Amaterasu saw herself. Not just her sadness, but her light, her beauty, her power. The gods gasped. Then, in a blink, one of them leapt behind her and sealed the cave shut so she couldn't go back in. They had her. The sun was back. And with it, the world came alive again. For a moment, silence. Amaterasu stood frozen, blinking in the sunlight she herself radiated. Her eyes met the mirror again, and for the first time in what felt like ages, she truly saw herself. Not just the goddess who had been wronged, not just the sister who had fled, but the source of life and warmth to everything beneath the sky. The gods slowly stepped forward. They didn't rush her. They didn't beg or plead. They simply bowed their heads and welcomed her back. Amaterasu looked around. The fields that had turned to dust were now reaching toward her light. The rivers glistened again. The winds carried the scent of blooming flowers. Her absence had taught the world a lesson, one that didn't need words. She turned to face the others. Her voice, soft but firm, said that things would not go back to how they were. Respect had to be earned, and her light, though it would shine, would never again be taken for granted. As for Susanoo, his fate wasn't forgotten. He had caused all this. His temper, his rage, his cruelty, all of it had driven her away. The gods couldn't let it slide. He was banished. Cast down from the heavens, Susanoo wandered the earth, stripped of his divine place. But even his story wasn't over. For now, though, the skies were bright. The people rejoiced. The balance had been restored. And Amaterasu returned to her rightful place in the heavens, watching silently, shining eternally. The cave remained behind, a reminder of what happens when light is hidden, when pride gets in the way, and when joy, no matter how silly, saves the world. And so, the sun goddess rose once more, not just in the sky, but in the hearts of those who learn to honor her. The story ends here, but its warmth still lingers.